Hi everyone, ever feel like your inbox is a mess? You're not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an AI automation which will read and understand your email and then classify those emails accordingly. No more digging through newsletters, marketing emails to find the right emails. This automation will do it for you. Digital Clutter has recently done a survey in US. They survey about 1,000 individuals in US and asked them about their email clutter. On average, each of the individuals had over 1,000 unread email. If I show you my inbox, you will see I have over 30,000 email I haven't read through. 77% people feel like digital clutter negatively impact their life. And 28% say it causes stress and anxiety. Through this automation, we'll be solving that problem today. If you stick around, I'm also going to show you how we can measure the outcome of your automation. AI is still evolving and it's not 100%, and time to time AI will hallucinate and give you the wrong answer, will do the wrong thing. So that's why it's important to see how your automation is performing against a set of criteria, which is mainly your prompt, to see is it actually working or not. In this video, I will show you how to set that up. That part of the process is not just applied to this automation. You can take that and apply it to all the other automation you have built, and you'll be able to measure the performance of your automation. If you're new to this channel, my name is Aftab. I've been building automation using no-code tool like n8n and make.com. If you want to learn how you can build AI automation or AI agent using no-code tool like n8n or make.com, this channel is for you. I will show you how you can build step-by-step automation. YouTube tells me that 95% of the viewer who watches my video, they don't actually subscribe. So please subscribe, which will definitely help out this channel. This is the system we'll be building today. Before we start building, I'm going to give you a quick overview on how the system is designed and how it works. It's pretty simple setup. We'll be using n8n to build this system. If you're not familiar with n8n, please go to this website, n8n.io. n8n is a no-code tool platform. You'll be able to build automation and AI agent through n8n. I will have the link in the description, so you can use that link and sign up. When you're building an automation in n8n, there's two things: the trigger and then the execution. The trigger is something happen and then the automation get activated. So in that case, we have this as a trigger. Trigger is the first node in our automation. Once there's a new email comes in, then the automation get activated. So when there's a new email comes in, goes here, which is an OpenAI module. It classifies the email, and then it pushes it to two area. One is a switch, which what it is, the OpenAI module identify what type of email is that. Then throughout the switch, then it labels each email. The other part is that every time there's an OpenAI take an action, we also capture that as a log in our database, and then we can do some sense check to see is the AI is actually working correctly or not. We all know that AI is still evolving and they do make mistakes and they do hallucinate. So it's really important to track that, and I will show you how to build that at the end of automation. Once you've gone through the sign up process and gone through the onboarding process, that's where you will be landing. Then what you need to do is create a workflow. This is the canvas where we'll be building our automation. First, we give a name to our automation. We call it my inbox. Once you've done that, let's start with our first step. As you remember from our initial overview of the system, we need a trigger. After the trigger, the execution happens. Gmail trigger, and that's what we do on message received. So the automation will activate when we receive the new message. Our trigger is when there's an email come to our inbox. That's when we want this automation to start. You need is a Gmail. So if you're using a Gmail, you need to connect that with your Google account. To do that, you need to create a new credential. n8n has a good documentation on how to connect your Google account with n8n. I also have a video where I actually take you through a step-by-step process to connect your account. So I will link that video here so that you can have a look. Once you connect your account, the next step is more, how often do you want this trigger to be activated? Every minute. The event is when the message is received. At the moment, we don't want simplified. It basically, what it means is then when the Google sends the information about the email, it does send you quite a lot of information, not just the email, who send you the email, subject or the body. It also includes a lot of data point like an ID, threshold, what type of email is there, what size of the email is, which we may need or we might not need. But for at the moment, because if you click simplify, what the n8n does is doesn't include a few fields, but we just want to leave it open so that we get all the information. Once you're ready, then click fetch test event. You can see that I actually picked up an email from my inbox. And then what I'll do, we'll click this button, pin the data. Now the data will be pinned on this trigger. So as we're testing, we don't have to consistently checking our inbox. We just use this data for the rest of the automation. The other part is, if you're new to this n8n, each node has three parts. The first part is input, data customization, and that is the output. We can also customize. So next stage is to connect our Gmail to an OpenAI module where we'll be able to process that information, and then AI will be able to help us identify what type of email is that, and then from that we'll be able to label this email. So we need OpenAI. What we need in here is a messenger model. So the reason we're selecting messenger model is we'll be sending the text email to the model as a message, and then the model will be able to give us, based on our prompt, the output. It's very same as the Gmail. First thing is that you need to connect your account. Again, connecting an OpenAI account is very simple. What you need to do is create new credential, and then you need to fill out this API key, and that's about it. You don't need the organization ID. To get an API key, what you have to do is you go to your platform. Once you're logged in, go to the settings, top right hand side, and then on the bottom left hand side, this API key, and generate a new secret key. If you are doing this for the first time, make sure to include your billing information, otherwise you'll be able to generate a key. Once you've done that, copy your key and come back and paste it here and save. The next stage of research is a text operation messenger model. Then we need to decide what model we want to use. Well, the task we'll be doing you don't need a very powerful model to do this task. So we'll be selecting GPT-4o Mini. 4o Mini it's very cheap compared to 4o, and also it's pretty fast. So we have two sections here. So initially we only had one. Just to show you guys again, initially we had this, but anytime when you're using an AI module in an automation, it's good to have two prompts. One is a system prompt, which basically tell the agent what their role is, what the objective is, what the expected outcome, what are some of the guardrails are. And then you will have a user prompt where we'll be able to dynamically reference the data so that the OpenAI can process that data and give us the output. In terms of system prompt point of view, I have prepared a system prompt already. Let me copy that. So here's our system prompt. I have prepared this prompt before. Actually, this is the actual prompt I use for my own inbox, and I just simply copy and paste it here. I'll include the free template in the description so you can download it for free. When you download the template, make sure to check these categories, because you might have a different categories you want to prioritize. These categories are based on my inbox. System prompt basically define what the role is, what the objective is, and what the task is, and then I also provided some example output. So when it's a call reach, subject talk about this, or the body talk about this, then it should cold outreach. The marketing email, like subject line is something with sales, body is this, so that's a marketing email. I provided an example. The reason being is this needs to be one-shot prompt. What it means by that is that AI needs to get it right at the first get-go. You won't be able to ask you a follow-up question, or if you don't like it, you won't be able to interact. Then what you need to do an user prompt, because if you think about this, we only give the AI what the role is and what the objective is and what are some of the rules it needs to be obeyed by, but we haven't actually given the email or the subject what the AI needs to evaluate and label. Once you inputted your system prompt, then we have to give it a user prompt. The easy way to think about system prompt and user prompt: system prompt is something is fixed, something you don't really change until you wanted to modify the agent for better performance. However, for user prompt, it's changed, because what happened is that in the user prompt, we dynamically reference different data. Let me show that on the screen. Let me show you in here so that it will make more sense to you. So in the user prompt, what you want to do is email subject, because you want the AI to read the subject. Just need to find the subject. Okay, got it. Then the second one is, once you've done the subject, that'll be email body. So we need to find the body. So this is the body text. Now our model has the information. Model will process this data and evaluate based on the system prompt what type of email that is. Let's do a test. So the output is Gumroad. So the model suggested the email it's actually Gumroad. So Gumroad is when someone clicked the link in my description and download a free template, then I get a notification, and that is classified. Yeah. Now we have built the second stages of our automation. So we added the large language model, which can process our email and to understand what type of email is that. Is it a marketing email? Is it coming from my solicitor? Is it related to any contract? Well, every time when you're finishing a node, make sure you complete a test to understand that look at the input and is it giving you the expected output. That's really very important. So let me show you. So in here, when you've done the test, it's coming back as a newsletter, and then making sure, okay, so I'm going to take a step back. What I'm going to show you in here is, first of all, this is the input screen where the data was inputted. This is our large LLM configurations screen, and this is the output. Always make sure that whatever the result you're getting as an output from your LLM, that's an expected output. So for our case, let's have a look. What email is that? The subject line is the fork Davis keep changing, and for the panics they're the same. So it looks like a newsletter. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. Next step of the process is not within the n8n, it's actually outside the n8n. So we need to go back to our Gmail and then set up those labels, what you can see on screen. So set up all these categories in our Gmail. So like exactly what it says: cold outreach, marketing email, newsletter, invoice receipt, Q&A. These categories needs to be defined in a way which represent your emails, because these are the type of email I receive. You might receive something else. So just customize it as you need it, and then go to the Gmail. Gonna quickly show you. I'm not gonna do all of them because I have already done it, because this is a real automation. But I'm gonna show you one and how to do it. Once you log into your Gmail, that's what you'll be able to see. And on the bottom left hand side, you see labels. There's a plus button. Click that, and that's how you'll be typing your label, like like marketing emails, and then create. But you need to do, remember, for your automation, when you build that for yourself, making sure these are the labels, you have it in Gmail. Once that's done, then come back to the n8n, and then the next node in our automation will be switch. Switch is a node basically redirect automation traffic based on the certain condition. Let me show an example and then it will make more sense. So what I want to do is that once this content equal to newsletter, once this content equals to newsletter, I want it to go in one path. Rename the output. The reason we rename it because it helps us identify what path that is. Let me show you. Newsletter test. See, it says newsletter. That is basically this rename output. So it's help. It doesn't do anything. It just help us identify what the output is. So we need to go one by one and create all of this. I think the first one was cold outreach. So you get the cold outreach, head routing rule, content equal to cold outreach, and also I want the name of the output is it's cold outreach. And the second one was marketing email. Marketing, sorry, that needs to be on the bottom because we're matching that with the content. So we just got to keep doing it. So we just have to repeat the process for all to make sure that we have switches for all the different category of the labels we have defined in our Gmail. It's done. So there's quite a few of them you have to do, but again, just wanted to make sure that you only need to categorize based on your email. What type of email do you receive? For me, these are the categories applicable to me, but for you will be different type of category. So next part of our automation is actually applying those label in our Gmail. So again, we need to get the Gmail node, add label to a message. That's that one. We don't have to connect our account because we have already connected at the beginning of that. The resource will be message, operation is add label, and then message ID, we need to find the message, we need to reference the right email to label. To find that, let's go back to the watch for email. So that is our start of the automation, so we can just grab the ID from there. That's the ID. And the reason we dynamically reference it because every time there's an email comes in, the ID will change. And the label will be what's that, newsletter. Because I have typed up all the category in our Gmail in here, that's why it's showing up in this section. If we didn't type all this category, it wouldn't come up. So newsletter, then we need to do a test. Cool, it worked. So again, remember, every time you build a node, making sure you do a test and make sure whatever the input is going, whatever the calculation of the configuration you're doing, and the output should match. So our input was a content, which was marked as a newsletter. Configuration is basically we wanted to add that newsletter label in our email, and the output should be when I go back to my email, and I should be able to see that in the newsletter category. So that was the subject. Let's search it. I got tons of email. There you go. The fork Davis keeps changing. It's actually marked as a newsletter. So found it. It's in here. Cool. So that means that our automation is working as per our design. So now we can build the rest of the node. The other thing we need to do is, let's change this to newsletter. The process is pretty repetitive. We just need to do the same thing for all the other category or the label we have. So let's do one more. Gmail, add a label. I don't know, be cold outreach. Same thing. Message, add a label. But the problem is message ID. And then we'll fill the message ID at the end, and I'll show you why. So it'll be cold outreach. Here you go. We've got the cold outreach. But as per the previous example, we could have dynamically referenced it, but in this case, we can't reference it. The reason being is, we haven't have any test data in our automation which fall into cold outreach, so we can't actually dynamically reference that. But there's a technique you can use. Just go back to the previous one. Just copy that message ID. That's it. We'll do the same thing. We'll be doing the same thing for the marketing as well. Gmail. Actually, the easy way to do is just copy this. There it go. So copy paste, connect, then rename it in here. That'll be marketing, and then change this to marketing. Just got to do the same. I can't even say. So the next one is invoice. Again, copy, paste, connected. Change it to invoice, rename, just to make sure that find the right label, call it invoice and receipt. The reason we name each node is that when you're building a larger automation, then it's easier to identify. It's easy to identify and debug the issue. I'm just gonna go and do all of them. I'm just gonna expedite the video. There you go, that's all done. But the next step, what I do is use another Gmail. Depends on the category, like for newsletter, OTP, and the Gumroad one. What I normally do is I go to Gmail and mark the messages red, and then when I do test it, so then the email get marked as red, so it doesn't show up as it's an unread email. So depends on your category, you can do that. But the next stage of the process, it's not just related to this automation. This is probably applicable to any automation do, and it's a really good practice when you're building a larger automation, when you're building automation for businesses. You want to develop a system where you can capture anything and everything what the AI is doing as a log, and then you can review this log. Is the outcome from the AI is actually makes sense and it's actually correct. And if you see outcome of the AI is not accurate, then what you can do is you can go back and adjust your prompt. Let me show you how you can do that. So the first thing what we need is a set node. For the reason we're getting a set node is what you want to do. What are the information we wanted to capture as part of the log? We wanted to capture, what do you want to capture? So we wanted to capture timestamp. What was the time at the time the automation got processed? So we don't need to reference anything. We just need to use a function which will capture the time of the execution. So two curly braces. Before you do this, what you do, click this tiny button, is change to expression, and then do two curly braces and click now. You can see the date and time. So that's the first one. And the second one we wanted to capture is subject. Then we can go to the expression and we can capture it from here. As you can see, there's two subject, but I always get these one. The reason being this is nested into something else, so just grab that one. Then we want to know where the email came from or who sent us that email. Let's do a search. So that'll be the form. And the final thing is we want a category. What was the category outputted after processing the email? That'll be under OpenAI. It's content, just that. Yeah, so we're getting outputs. So then what I need to do is, in my automation, I use NoCodeDB. It's a database platform. It's the same as Google Sheet basically, but it's got a little bit more bells and whistles compared to Google Sheet. If you know Airtable, it's a good alternative to Airtable, because Airtable you have to pay a subscription fee on a monthly basis, but this one you can actually self-host. What it means is that you can host it in your own server or somewhere in the cloud. It only costs you probably a couple of dollars in a month. For me, it only costs me $3 to $4 in a month. You can also use Google Sheet. It's exactly the same thing. It's basically what I want to do. We want to capture this information in our no-code database. So then we need to get a node, NoCodeDB, create a row. We have already connected the NoCodeDB. I'm not going to go in deep into how you can connect NoCodeDB in this video, which is outside the scope, but for you guys, you can use Google Sheet, or if you're using Airtable, you can do that. But But if you're using NoCodeDB, just what you do, just use this document. They have very clear instruction how you need to get these two information, API token and the host. So then once you connect your account, the resources row operation is create, because we're creating a new record. Workspace, just leave as it is. Base name. If you choose to use NoCodeDB or Airtable, what you need to do is you need to create a base. This is a fancy way of saying it, that you need to create some workspace. So you see base, these are the base. So the getting started, YouTube demo, these are the two base, and under each base I have multiple table. We will be using YouTube demo and this table. To create a table, what you need to do, just plus, just type anything, demo, create a table. Then remember what are some of the information we collected is as a set field in here. The timestamp, subject, from, category. So these are the column I need to capture. So let's create this column. Where was that? In here. Edit field, timestamp. Sorry, let me check this first. It's a time. Let's do not too fancy. Just do a single line. Update field. First one was time. The second one was, what was the second one? Second one was subject. The next one was from. Just do long text. The next one is category. Category, long text. So these are the 4 column where we'll be capturing the data and post it in here. I generally do one more column. Let me show you what it is. Review. Let's do correct, incorrect. Now come back, we got select our YouTube demo. Our table should appear here, demo. What you can do, you can automatically map input data to column. Let's try that and see what happened. Test. Looks like it worked. Let's see. To refresh. It worked. And then this is kind of now this is working as a log. Every time an AI will process an email, he'll post this in here. The reason I put a review column is that what it can do, it can come here, it can do some spot check on AI, so making sure this actually working correctly, it's actually doing its job correctly based on the prompt. So to me, this is a newsletter, already checked it, clicked here and correct. You don't have to do this for every single email you receive. You just do a couple, maybe, I don't know, depends on the email, maybe just do 5 here, 5 there. Once you're happy and see that the AI is consistently delivering the same result over and over, then you just don't have to do it anymore. But it's really a good practice to have it. I encourage you to use any automation you build for yourself or any businesses or your client. Have this built into it. I promise you this will save you a lot of headaches down the track. Now you have a working AI system that reads your email, categorizes them, and keeps your inbox tidy without lifting a finger. If you're stuck building this automation or any other of my automation, you can always drop a comment. If you found this helpful, please give it a like, share this with someone who you think you might need it, and please subscribe. I regularly publish automation video where I show you how to build automation using n8n or make.com. Until then, see you.